Hello, I am Lewis Smith, and I'm here with Derek McFarland, the creator of Ringo, right?
Yes, yes. Nice to meet you, Lewis.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. It's we're looking forward to participating in the film festival. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. What do you think was like the biggest takeaway from this entire project?
Um, well, for us, because it was sort of the idea to do the documentary came after we lived these events with Ringo. I think the biggest takeaway for us was just that so many people connected with Ringo's story. That there was a sympathy, an empathy, an emotional attachment that we all had to this this little cat's plight
Mm-hmm.
um, that was stuck in the ring. So the journey was a good story, and we wanted to capture that in documentary, and I think it worked. We were able to catch some of that.
uh, did you ever find out like how he got in the ring in the first place?
We don't know. We can just guess. I mean, it's a trim ring that would have gone on some kind of a pipe that would be buried in your yard, and this was the part that would have been at the grass level. So I can only guess that he stuck his head in it for some reason,
Okay.
either chasing something or getting some water. I don't know, but in the orientation his head was in it. It clearly was in the ground when he stuck his head in and he came away with it because they're just like on there with pressure.
Mm-hmm. Knowing from my cat, he probably poked his head where it didn't belong.
That's a part of the story we just have to imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, he was stuck and stuck
Mm-hmm.
good.
What do you think was like the hardest part of like the project, like filming, editing, like just in general?
Um, yeah, but because it was really not intended to be, we were trying to catch a cat. We weren't trying to make a movie. I think the hardest part was when we decided, oh, let's go back and put all this in a documentary form. Was that the content we had, we didn't have 4K landscape
Mm-hmm.
images. We had to deal with what we had, which in a lot of cases was some lower resolution security camera footage, some quick cell phone footage out through a window and a window screen and held in portrait mode even.
Mm-hmm.
So it was trying to go back and pull all those things together and try to get them in a format that that looks good. I mean, if you're making something that's going to be shown on a larger screen, you at least want it to look good. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that footage wasn't meant to be cinematic. It was just security camera stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess putting those things together and incorporating some live action interviews, which we could film well. And there were even some things that we were able to recreate. So of course, we couldn't recreate anything with Ringo with the ring on his neck. He's not a willing actor in this in this production, but there were some things that I could recreate. Like I could recreate me setting up the cage, or me doing the putting out food,
Mm-hmm.
or some of the elements of the story you could recreate. So it was it was just a matter of what did I have to work with, what did we have to use of the old stuff, and what could we make new.
Mm-hmm. How long did like the entire process would you say take? Like,
Gosh, when we decided to do it in a documentary, it went pretty fast. I started by just writing. I just sat down literally with the computer and just started typing. So I wrote uh, the whole screenplay, if you will, out. And once I had that, it was just a matter of going back through all of my security camera footage and all the stuff I had, and say, okay, what do I have, piece wise to put the story together. I drew out story arcs and heroes' journeys and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I really wanted to focus on the story, and I felt like it was a good story, and then just go find all these pieces. So um, back to your question of how long it took, I think it was probably a month and a half. Uh, I would say maybe 2 months on the outside before we
Mm-hmm.
finally had something to send to somebody to get some feedback to
Yeah.
see.
I guess like a big thing that I keep thinking about is like, since you said you had to pull so much images and stuff from like security cameras and phones, do you think that added a more like personal effect to the film? Like, do you think that added something to it instead of?
Oh, well, that's a good take on that. Yeah, we'll go with that because I worried about it. Um, I worried about, oh gosh, this thing's going to be here on this big screen, and it's going to be low res
Mm-hmm.
and portrait instead of, but yeah, I mean, I think it does show that, okay, we're going back into something real,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, okay, now we're at the new time interview stage. So um, you know I didn't intend for it to be an effect, but if you took it that way, that makes me happy.
Yeah. I don't know. It was all the like I really like the majority of the films, but the thing that stuck out to me with Ringo was the fact that because it's like you said security footage, it just felt just real. That's the best way I could describe it. You know what I mean? It felt like
Okay.
looking into like a real situation, and it
Well,
just
I
yeah.
promise you it was very real. We we had quite an emotional journey, and I guess that was really the heart of it, was that it wasn't just Ringo and the cat, but like we got really emotionally attached,
Mm-hmm.
and then we went through some trials and hard times when we missed him. We thought it was going to be over for him, and he was going to be stuck with this thing. He wasn't going to come back, and it was really heartbreaking at
Mm-hmm.
times, and that's we wanted some of that to come through in the documentary, so I hope it did.
Oh, it very much did. I really enjoyed it, especially because Ringo's just really cute.
He is a good-looking cat.
Does he still come around the house, or does he still?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the end of the story. Is he? I mean, still very skittish. To this day, I mean, this has been going on for over 3 years. To this day, I've never been face to face with him, except for when we had him in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but after he came back to eat, he's been coming back every night. I mean, he may have missed just a couple of nights in 3 years, but he's got his routine. We put his food out. He comes just after dark. He's still very skittish.
Mm-hmm.
I see him every night on the camera, but he'll take bites and try to run off and just constantly looking around. He's just a very, very nervous, feral. He's
Mm-hmm.
not adjusted to people at all. But yeah, we watch him every night. I feel like he's our cat, even though I've never touched him. I've never, uh,
Well, I
you
bet it
know.
brings you like some comfort, to like be able to see him every day, like see if, just in case if he gets into another cap thing or like just to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of worry about that, like knowing how hard it was to catch him. What happens if suddenly he shows up and he needs some kind of attention, medical
Mm-hmm.
attention or otherwise? I don't really look forward to trying to catch him again because he's really hard to catch. And when people see the documentary, they'll get a sense of that. Just really outsmarted us on many attempts. But yeah, it is very comforting to see him every night. We have this really strange relationship. I'd love to know what's in his head, what he thinks coming to this house
Mm-hmm.
every day for 3 years to get food. And he looks like, he feels like he's about to get, whacked every second, like looking over my shoulder and about to take off. But yeah, we enjoy him and enjoy, glad that he comes back. And at least I know he's got good nutrition. I mean, he's
Mm-hmm.
eating well. I know he's got, a lot of struggles trying to live out in the wild, but at least I can give him fresh food and water.
Yeah. Uh, did you name him Ringo? Like, or like, what was the reason behind that name? Is
It,
if there is one?
yeah, it really was because of the ring on his neck, and
Mm-hmm.
we were coming up, when we put this thing on social media that, oh, we got this cat, and I put one photo I got of him on Facebook, and everybody just said, oh, yes, yes, you have to save him, and that's kind of what started this following. And I said, well, we got to come up with a name for him, and I think it was my wife Robin that actually came up with the name Ringo, and we thought, oh yeah, that's perfect, because of the ring.
I'm gonna be honest. It's a very good name. I didn't put that together. The Ring and then Ringo when I
Yeah.
first heard it. How much, as you know, like with documentaries and like filming and stuff, how much footage did you actually like have in total? Like, how much did you have to actually deal with?
Oh, well, I had daily footage for probably 6 months. Um, and I had gone through a couple of different systems. So at first I started off with one brand of security camera. So it was the kind where I had all the stuff was stored on little micro SD cards, and I was downloading that to a hard drive. And then somewhere along the way we switched to the Google Nest camera system, and it has a web-based thing. So yeah, there was probably, I would say, 4 or 5 months of security camera footage that I had. There was a lot of my cell phone footage where, I was just kind of going to Facebook for the day and doing a little vlog saying, okay, here's what I'm doing to try to catch Ringo. And so I had the footage on my phone, but yeah, you're talking days and days and days
Mm.
of footage to boil down to 53 minutes.
How did you even like start the process of breaking all that down? That sounds so hard.
Well, really, when you have a script, and once I settled on the script, then it was just a matter of, okay, what piece of video do I need for this scene? What piece of video do I need for this scene? And I just, went and found that event, that day when he first saw the trap, and when he first, you know, stepped one foot in, so it was fairly easy just because it was all chronological, and just go find that day when
Mm-hmm.
that happened. Um, so I think the script was the main thing. That was our guiding thing. And when I first put all this together, and I had it all, I think the first cut of the film was more like an hour 15. So even then, through the editing process, we took out, another 20 minutes of of scenes and footage to try to edit it down,
Mm-hmm.
to move a little better, flow a little better. Um, there was a lot of cat in front of cage, and just trying to break that up, and keep an interesting story going.
Mm. Was there anything cut that you like really liked that you wish you would have kept in the long run, or anything like that you? I
Um,
don't want to say regret, but like that something that you really enjoyed that didn't make the cut.
at the time I thought so. Um, we there's a guy in town, Ron Hagel, that got experience in this, and somebody introduced me to him, and I was able to send the my first cut to him for a screening and for some feedback. And that was one of the things he said was, hey, there's a story here, you got a good story here, but it's too long. You got all these little montages, and I did at the time think, well, gosh, I don't want to cut that out. And but now I'm really glad I did. And some of those things I cut out, I had a lot more what I thought were real funny, interesting scenes of all the other animals from the neighborhood that were coming. We had a lot of things with like possums and raccoons and other cats that I thought were really interesting, and had put them together with music in funny ways, and I was kind of proud of those little things. But at the end of the day, he was absolutely right that it sort of took away from the story. It drug things out. a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. So it was one of those things where you felt bad about it at the time, but now in hindsight, don't be afraid to, to cut stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's, you think it's important to you, or you did it and you're really proud of it, if it needs to cut, it needs to cut.
Yeah. If it's running too long, it's running too long. Did you like? Was it hard to adjust? Because I know you said on your website you're more like of a musician. Was it hard to transition to like film editing specifically and or stuff like that?
It was just a new set of software for me,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I had to learn it because I had not done a lot of video editing before. I Like you say, I had a lot of experience with audio editing and, Pro Tools and things like that, but I had to download, buy a copy of Final Cut Pro, and I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to use it and how to make it work. A lot of it's sort of intuitive because it operates a little like Pro Tools, but some of the tricks and how to do some of the editing things, I had to learn. But fortunately, there's just so much online, so much online help
Mm-hmm.
uh, to 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 do, and so much you can learn
Yeah.
online. So yeah, it was new. Final Cut was new to me, and had a chance to learn it.
Okay. It's a good skill to learn. Did you make any of the music yourself for the project since you do have experience with that kind of stuff?
I I would have loved to. I'm a little impatient, and uh, so when I wanted to get the movie together, I wanted to get the movie out, and going in and trying to make all that music, it would have just been a long and harder process for
Mm-hmm.
me. So I used Epidemic Sound, um, and you've probably heard of them. And I joined Epidemic Sound and got a little membership in there, and just a library of music available to you really let me find exactly the right mood and the right
Mm-hmm.
tone, and that's one of the things I was very comfortable with, having the background in music, is trying to find the right piece of music and editing it in such a way to fit the emotion of the scene. So I was really happy to have a resource like Epidemic Sound to do that.
Yeah. I guess a big thing that like I keep thinking about too is do you have a sort of, I wouldn't say plan. Plan might not be the best word, but like, are you gunning towards like trying to make Ringo a bit more like a family cat? Like, are you trying to like bring them into the house kind of situation? Like,
Yeah, I mean that would be like a real nice book into the story, that
mm-hmm.
cut to him like in my lap. And but no, I what I've come to learn is that feral cats are different, and they don't really need to be domesticated, and they don't really need to be adjusted to humans. I just don't think he will. Uh, I just We're just happy that he's comfortable enough to continue to come to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But no, just watching him for the last 3 years, and really his level of being scared and skittish, I haven't seen it change at all. Uh, I mean, really skittish. Like if we wanted to peek out the window while he was there eating, you have to have sock feet on. You have to sneak up on it. If he catches any movement out of the corner of his eye through in a window, just gone. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sprinting back across the street. So um, I don't think he's going to change. I really don't want him to change, because I think a lot of that is protection for him, helping him
Mm-hmm.
survive. I think we're doing about the best thing we can do for him after getting the ring off, of course.
Yeah. I guess this is more of a funny question. What is his like favorite meal to eat that you guys usually feed him?
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly. He likes like the soft food, the Nine Lives, pate kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all kind of like mushy, like potted
Yeah,
meat.
like
That's
the
his
goopy
favorite.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he'll eat anything, but the hard food, he might eat a little now, come back for some later.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of it that's pressed into little shapes or things like that,
Yeah.
and but no, when there's that just wet, like potted meat kind of, it doesn't matter if it's chicken, fish, whatever. He's gonna
Mm-hmm.
stay and clean the bowl. That's
um,
his favorite.
that makes sense. It. So I guess have you had any like experience with cats before? Like, or is this your first time with?
No, we're cat people. We've had cats. We have two indoor cats now. So no, my wife and I, very much cat people, and we've had indoor cats. And there's several neighborhood cats that we, sort of co-look after with some of the other neighbors, and they'll come hang out on our porch. And definitely we're cat people, and I think that's probably what it was what drew us to want to help uh, Ringo.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't had any experience with any quite like him that was so just really so skittish and so fearful of
Yeah.
people.
I guess honestly, the big thing that I keep thinking about with Ringo is just I'm curious if there was something that drew him to your house specifically. You know what I mean? Like if there was, I don't know if it was like the smells of other cats or like, do you have any insight of like why he was?
He wasn't really coming to our house. We had to lure him to our house. I
Mm-hmm.
saw him just cruising through, and there are other cats that neighbors look after. So there's food that's set out at a neighbor's house. So I think he was just making the rounds, scavenging, looking for food, and we just saw him um, just cruising around. And so
Yeah.
then we set the food out, and he found it, and then he started coming to our house. So I don't think he really came to us. We had to lure him
Mm-hmm.
uh, to us.
That makes sense. Do you have any like future projects or anything that you're working on or planning to work on?
Not in a feature length documentary form, but after learning Final Cut and working with video, I did get the bug, and so I got
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better equipment, and a little bit better audio recorders, and a couple different things in here and filters, and I've used it in a couple of ways. I'm pretty active with the Columbia running community, so I've done some videos. Uh, Related to running and course previews and interviews and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been fun to kind of take those new skills and continue to practice and play with them.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty fun. Do you have it like? Where could other people reach to you if they want to see other work or just want to know about Ringo in general, the story and all that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We do have a website, and it's ringofilm.com, and there's links there to both watch the movie and all the background story and information, and a blog there on all different news and things about Ringo, and then all of my other stuff, miscellaneous and music things. I have a YouTube channel, and it's Fuzzy Cat Music.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining, and it was nice talking to you.
Lewis, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at the film festival. We really
Yeah,
appreciate getting invited, and thanks to Valdosta State University and all your sponsors, and looking forward to being there in March.
yeah. I can't wait to see it on the big screen. Okay, I'll see
All
you
right,
then.
thank you.
Bye.
Take care. See you then. Bye bye.